Welcome to AKmtb. Tomorrow I have an enduro race and I have a little bit special plan for this enduro race. What you see here is my new cross-country slash trail bike. I built it myself and I had a really clear purpose with what I wanted of this bike. And what I wanted to achieve was a cross-country bike that are slack in the geometry and that has potential to do trail riding or very aggressive cross-country riding. So tomorrow with this enduro race I thought, hey, let's bring this bike and see what it can do. It's not a serious it's not a serious enduro race. It's just like what I would call fun-duro together with some friends. It's nothing organized, but it's still an enduro. So the idea I had is basically to change my fast rolling cross-country tires, where I use the Rocket Run from Schwalbe, and I'm gonna switch them to Knobby Nick. Knobby Nick is not the most aggressive tire on the market. As you see, the treads are more aggressive than a cross-country tire, but it's not as aggressive as a downhill specific or enduro tire. I would say this is a fast rolling trail tire that have the potential to be on a cross-country bike. Since it is an enduro race, I choose this snakeskin version that has the thicker sidewalls. But there is also a light skin version of this tire that I actually think would be better suited for this bike if you want a grippy, aggressive cross-country tire. But hey, let's try this out. So today I'm going to show you how to assemble a tire, and I'm running it tubeless, and I also had a Huck Norris tire defender, flat tire defender in the back, so I'm going to show you that one too. First up is to get the tire off, put it in the lowest gear, and if you're using the SRAM, just open up the clutch. Secondly, remove the tire by loosening your axle. I'm gonna assume that you know this part already. Okay, here's a comparison between the two tires. As you can see, they are quite similar. They have the basic ideas and the way of thinking when it comes to the tread pattern. There's a center pattern and there's the side knobs that gives you the grip during cornering. So I think this tire is going to be really nice. Good tools for this step could be tire levels and the valve core remover. So start by removing the air. You could either do it in the normal way or you could do it with a valve core remover. To get the tire off the rim, press on the side to release it from the rim and move around the tire. Do the same on the other side. Here's where the tire level comes in handy. That's it. Remove the Huck Norris. This is something that you might not have in your tire. What it does is that it protects the rim from impact. Remove the tire from the rim. And this is a good opportunity to inspect your rim and see if you need to change the tape around the rim. If you do so, you could use rim-specific tape, or you could just use black electrical tape, which I use most of the times, and it works well. Okay, now it's time to fit the tire on the rim. For this step, you need soap and water and a sponge. Mix the soap and the water, and you could use plenty of soap. The first thing I like to do is to fit the tire without the tubeless sealant. Be aware that some tires has to be mounted on the rim in a certain direction because their tread pattern are directional. If so is the case, there's often an arrow on the tire that shows which way should be facing forward. So what we're doing here is that you're putting the soap on the tire on both sides. And as I mentioned before, be aware of the direction arrow. Now you just slide it on. If you need, just use the tire lever. Push on the inside of it, so you're pushing the tire towards the edge. On the other side, put some new water on it. On the other side, start where the valve is. And now fit the tire. Use the tire lever if you need it. As you might see, I'm not putting any tubeless sealant into the tire. And the reason for this is that I want the tire to seal without it, because that's a better seal. Now, at this point, I'm just gonna push like this around the tire and around the wheel. What this does is that it pushes the edge of the tire towards the edge of the rim. Now it's time to fill up the tire with air. You could use your regular track pump for this, though it might be a little bit difficult to get the air inside because you need to get the air inside of the tire as quick as possible for it to seal. The ideal thing is to use a compressor or a special designed pump like this. It has a container that I fill up with pressure, and then I release all the pressure into the tire at the same time. Before I do this though, I'm going to put some soap and water on the edge. Use plenty of water, don't be shy. The reason to use the water is for the tire to more easily move around and seal the air. I like that sound. The sound you hear is the tire who pops onto the rim. It's a sound that you want. Now I pump it up to around 45 psi. That's the tubeless tire fitted on your rim without the sealant. So now you know that it will keep the air in there and it fits properly on the rim. And best of all, there's not a big mess around you with the sealant. Now it's time to put the sealant into the tire. I'm doing this through the valve. To do this, you have to remove the valve core. To do that, you use this tool. It's probably a tool that you might have been lying around at home. If you don't have it, it's possible to remove it with some other tool. What you're doing is that you just unscrew it and hold your finger on the top, otherwise it might end up where you don't want it when the air goes out. With the air removed, it's time to fill up with the sealant. I used the stands. I used other brands as well. They are all the same, more or less. There's some newer ones that doesn't dries out that are pretty good, and then I'm gonna look into a little bit more further on. The way I gotta get it into the tire is by using a syringe. I put the syringe on the valve like this. Then I take the sealant, and for my back wheel I use about 65 to 70 centiliters. I'm using slightly more in the back tire, mainly because I have the hack Norris in there that takes some of my sealant. Would be more optimal to have a bigger syringe. That's definitely something to get for the future. Once you fill up the tire with the sealant, remove the hose and put back the valve core. When you're doing this, make sure it's closed. That will keep the sealant inside if you're pushing it. And fill up the tire with air. I recommend you to fill it up to around 40 psi. Last step is to spin your tire around. This will spread out the sealant towards the entire tire, and it will seal the spots where air might go out. Next step is to repeat the same things on the front tire. Fill it up with sealant. I use like 65, 70, maybe 80 centiliters in this one. In the front one, you could just use around 60, a little bit lower. I recommend you to read on your sealant and follow their recommendation on how much to use, because it depends from different brands, and it also depends on your tire size regarding how much sealant you should use. So my bike is basically ready for the racing tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting to race on this bike. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. And don't forget to subscribe and take care until next time.